This is an update video on this Gretsch guitar and the upgrades that I've made to it. I did a video on this guitar a little while ago and people seem to really be interested in this guitar, so I thought I would add this one about upgrades that I've made and ways to make this guitar better. So in the first video, I talked about some of the problems with this guitar, which again, it's a cheaply made but well-made guitar that you can kind of make into a more player grade guitar for not that much money. So I did locking tuners and had the guitar professionally set up. That was sort of the first thing that I talked about in the original video. I also identified several problems with the guitar. One was the bridge is kind of cheap. This switch is very cheap. And also the master volume knob in the stock version of this guitar is kind of unusable as a swell. It doesn't give you any kind of tapering. So I found a guy here in town, his name is Chad Wynn, who did a great job modifying this guitar to make it, even better. And I talked about all those things, right? And so he modified the switch and put a higher grade switch in. He put a roller bridge here. And the components on this guitar, again, I think it's like a $500 or $600 guitar, stock new, and it's made in China. A lot of the components from the factory are cheap, so the tuners were very cheap. The bridge was like a cheap Chinese import bridge. You can upgrade those things, the switch, which I'll talk about in a second. You can upgrade all those things for not a lot of money, and it just elevates the whole experience of the guitar. So the importance of the roller bridge, right, is overall tuning stability if you are using a Bigsby, right? Because any of that kind of stuff, you need the guitar to kind of hold to. Same reason that I put locking tuners here. Along the same lines, there is now an upgraded nut. And here's the thing, like, this is something I ran into in my Squire Strat video. It's a very underrated thing in your overall tone and tuning stability is the quality of the nut, which is where, of course, the strings, sit. Right, so this one is a carbon fiber synthetic nut. It's black, which I actually kind of like, but that has helped a lot. And I've used this now. I've used this guitar in 2 gigs since having it modified, and it just plays a lot better. The switch, if you go back and watch that last video, I identified it as something that, was kind of like loose and kind of crackly. It's almost like it needed to be cleaned, but it also just felt insubstantial. So this is now a completely upgraded switch circuit, and gives you optionality on doing kind of kill switch type stuff like. And I would totally feel comfortable using that, some sort of part with that switch now, not feeling like, can I really trust this switch? My favorite mod though, so I wanted to get this master volume, right, it's so optimally placed. Like, it's right where you can naturally play the guitar and reach it with your pinky. So you can kind of do the Roy Buchanan, volume swell or Jeff Beck type volume swells. But the way that the master volume pot was designed, this switch and whatever kind of, I'm not a tech, but what was in there, basically had no swell to it. That was something I talked to Chad about, like, how can we do this? And he played around, and I will, in some B-roll here in a second, overdub what he actually said because it's too technical for me. But essentially, it's an audio taper pot, is what I understand. So that is a modification. The guitar would not behave that way stock, and I'm so happy with the way that is now responding. And you know, it's just little subtleties you can use kind of at the end of a song. You know, if you're playing live, the band, and maybe you want to do a swell ending. I mean, it's perfect as opposed to like a big hit. You know, and then also potentially in some lead stuff. Now, the trick with that, if you're going to go for like the Jeff Beck, is you really do need more gain on the sound, more gain than you actually plan on using. It kind of gives you headroom with that swell. This is just kind of I'm going straight into that Marshall Vintage 20 back there, which does have some gain, but you'd probably want more if you're really going for the Jeff Beck sound. So anyway, that is the latest update to this Gretsch guitar. I love playing this guitar. It's an extremely versatile guitar. I made a different video demonstrating, you know, using the different independent volumes, almost like a clean and a boost circuit, if you only had like one pedal to play a gig. So it's extremely versatile that way. To me, it sits kind of sonically in between a single coil guitar like a Strat and a Les Paul. And if you only had the one guitar, you wanted kind of both of those sounds in a set, you could just bring this guitar to your gig and it would be great. And I absolutely love a Bigsby. Again, I'm not, you know, I do have my Strat set up for much more extreme tremolo work, you know, step and a half kind of bends, but this thing gives me just enough. And of course, with the locking tuners, the upgraded nut, and the upgraded bridge, I'm confident in being able to use this and not worried about my tuning stability. So anyway, hope you enjoy the video. I hope you have one of these, and if you do, you know, consider these mods, especially that volume mod, the Chad Wynn volume mod. All right, thanks for watching.